if there's one thing that can, and I'm not advocating for the destroying of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I want to say this. Just let me preface it by saying that. I used to be one of those that were enthusiastic about it until I had to come to the harsh reality that any character that they bring on the big screen, I'm not going to be able to recognize that character, even if they have the same name of the character that I know. So I'm not saying that I want to destroy the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, if there is something that will end up destroying it, it will be the mob that it attempted to appeal to turned on it. So I don't know what's going to happen out of this. It is Disney after all. But this got interesting. When Scarlett Johansson went through her, let's say, deal with Disney, because they're looking at it like, well, she was looking at it like they messing with money. I don't know if it's because of the producer credit, but something baked into their contract that she had with Disney, in which the sales, the box office sales, her money depends on that. Like what she gets broke off with in terms of a paycheck, it depends on that. So you can go watch the previous videos. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Long story short, she's suing Disney because of that. She feels like there's some breach. And, of course, there was a reverse card pull, and then there was another reverse card pull out of all of that. So it's a little bit of hot potato, pin the tail on the social justice advocate. But this is interesting because when that happened, not many other stars came out in defense or in support. And it really goes to show, you think these idiot members of Hollywood will realize this, that they about signing the check too. It's like with the Gina Carano situation. You know, everybody that only had good things to say about her, not many of them came back and defended her. Not same thing happened with Scarlett Johansson until this happened, right? And as Variety has reported, Elizabeth Olsen, she backs, and this is Scarlet Witch, who is still around, says she backs Johansson amid Disney lawsuit and says, good for you. Elizabeth Olsen voiced her support for Avengers co-star Scarlett Johansson amid her ongoing Black Widow lawsuit against Disney. I think she's so tough, and literally when I read that, I was like, good for you, Scarlett. She says, the interview also covered, and she said this directly to Vanity Fair with Jason Sudeikis. The interview also covered the issue of theatrical releases during a time where theaters are still in recovery from the ongoing pandemic, while Olsen voiced concern small movies getting the opportunity to be seen in theaters. She says she's not worried on Scarlett's behalf. She says when it comes to actors and their earnings, I mean, that's just all contract. So either in the contract or it's not. It's in the contract. And that was actually the point that I made. It's like, look, man, I can rag on either of these people. I can rag on a Black Widow movie. I can rag on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But from a principled standpoint, what was the contractual obligation? What was that? Whatever that was, it obviously needs to be followed. Now, what that is and what those details are, I don't exactly know. Sudeikis added that Johansson's fight against Disney is appropriately badass and on brand, discussing the balance between streaming and theatrical releases. The Ted Lasso star also noted, I hope that with that still comes creative autonomy and we don't lose sight of that, which is a decent point. So what this article is saying is that Elizabeth Olsen she thinks it's good on her. And like I said, up until now, most of the co-stars hadn't said anything about it. Like they wanted to keep out of that. And I get it. Not everything has to be another person's business. These are your coworkers at the end of the day. But it'll be interesting to see if there's a waterfall effect, not just of this, but what happens out of the Black Widow thing. What happens out of that? Like, I don't know who's going to win. I mean, you think Disney's going to win. It's Disney, right? They're the mega corporate entity. They can either do that or settle out of court, and then it goes away. But that was the more interesting thing, was the waterfall effect that would happen out of that. Would this incentivize people to pay attention more? And also, it does seem like Marvel's kind of pivoting as well on the Disney Plus theatrical release stuff, because I believe that with both of their recent movies, they're like trying to highlight, I believe you said that with Spider-Man, like exclusively like they're throwing that out there like exclusively in theaters. So they're not doing the whole, at least with some of those films, they're not doing the whole it's out on Disney Plus and it's out on theatrical release. That could be them learning from this, or that could be them saying maybe they're just trying to give it time. I don't know. But the waterfall impact is going to be interesting, because this could really change the landscape of how these Hollywood actors and producers do business with Marvel. But it is Disney at the end of the day, and they got enough money that they can throw it at anybody. So if they have to leave, they'll get someone to replace you with. I just thought it was an interesting story nonetheless. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.